Here is a little visual explanation of what we're expecting for homework. We're going to do individual pages and we're going to bind them in a Japanese stab binding. That means we're going to lose about an inch from our paper on whichever side you'll be binding on. So if I'm preparing this to write my pangram and monoline in, I'm going to give myself a line and know that anything within this inch will be lost in the binding. Then I want to adjust my margins based on that line. So if I'm going to do a roughly golden rectangle, I will have 1.25 inches on this side. So that is my margin. That's my margin line. I will have 1 inch on the top and I'd have 2 1/8 inches over here. But I'm probably not going to have room to fit my whole pangram if I left that much margin on this side. So this is an Ames lettering guide. They cost about $4 and you can find them in the drafting supplies at most arts and crafts stores. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up that line in that top hole and hopefully get it. Okay, I've already done this once. I know if I make my X height 1/2 inch tall, I run out of room for my whole pangram. So I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch tall. 1, 2, 3 instead of 1/2 inch. I could meticulously lay this out so that I knew I wouldn't be getting my ascenders and descenders crossing, but I don't want to do that. So I'll just make my X height slightly shorter. And we will teach you how to do that by finding your X height with your pen width. Then you just use a smaller pen width. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, our trick to finding the slant won't work because this is only 8.5 inches tall. And the other trouble is, let's see, can I, oh, this says as far away as I can get it. So what I'm going to do is put an 11-inch piece of paper there, and then I'm going to measure in 1/2 inch from the corner and then I'll go from the corner of my bottom paper, which I have aligned, up to that 1/2 inch and try to align. So I had it lined up. This was lined up with the paper like that, and I aligned it to the quarter, and so this is going to be my slant line, but I don't need my slant line in my binding allowance, and I don't need my slant line in my margin. So I'll put it there. Then, because I can, I could line up and draw my slant lines with a ruler, aligning the line to the marked line. And the trick is when you hold it, you don't want any pressure from your pencil. Or I could use my lettering guide and do the same thing, except for these aren't going to be 1/2 inch apart because I still need the crutch and the aid of the slant lines. I'll do them 1/4 inch apart. And that will still be wider than I necessarily want to make my letters, but they'll help me stay on slant. Now, this is why we sent you printable guidelines, because if you spent all your time doing this, you'd never practice. I'll probably do one more set because whoop. So it's possible to do this yourself, but get a good paper that will accept your liquid ink. Just print it so you don't have to spend 10 minutes lining your paper. Now, because I know myself and I'm going to get confused, I'm going to put tiny x's on my x height, descender, ascender, x, descender, ascender, x, descender, ascender, x. Okay. Then I will letter my pangram. And we didn't learn capitals yet, so I won't do a capital. There you go. So remember to mark off your binding allowance, leave your margins according to that binding allowance, and get your slant lines in and all your other lines, and you'll have a successful page for your book, your homework book.